Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. That tempt you there. That couldn't be from my friend. What?
It's only you I recognize.
Yeah, but
it's
it's
only you I recognize.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, it's a pleasure that I rise this afternoon after the colleague, the member for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West. Because at a point in time when the member was speaking, I wanted to use Standing Order 55(1)(b), tedious repetition, because it is the constant rhetoric by the member whenever he speaks in the energy sector, Deputy Speaker. Nothing new. The only thing that the member spoke new this afternoon, and I will get into it, is the Cosina, the mannequin so-called deal with BP, NGC, and I will get into that. Because when the member spoke, and there's a lot of issues that the member spoke about, and I will get into it, Deputy Speaker. But I just want to take it point by point, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the member, the Minister of Finance, when he spoke and piloted his presentation, the Standing Finance Committee report, and some of the points that the Minister of Finance made, he talked about the reduced revenue means that besides the supplementation, which is the $2.5 billion that we're dealing with here this afternoon, much more will be needed. Then the Minister of Finance talked about the subsidy payment being supplemented is just for partial payment, meaning that is the subsidy payment that the last member spoke about, and not a total payment, but a partial payment of arrears for the subsidy. And I'll get into that, because I think the member didn't know what he was talking about, the Minister of Energy, when he spoke about that line item. Then the Minister of Finance talked about the estimated deficit for 2024. These are the Minister of Finance, I took some copious notes, was $5.6 billion, or 2.6% of GDP. The Minister of Finance also said the major issues affecting the revenue of our country profoundly is the price of natural gas. The Minister of Finance also said, beginning of the year, fiscal year, which would have been last year when the Minister was presenting his budget, we utilized the forecast of the International Energy Organization to estimate our budgeted gas price. He said so, and I'll get into that. And then the Minister of Finance spoke about, and also the Minister of Energy, we use a netback formula of Henry Hub, JKM, NBT, TTF, based on a percentage weighting basket. However, this is the words of the Minister of Finance, that price has been heavily affected by the decline of Henry Hub. These are the Minister of Finance when he presented this afternoon, which fluctuated from about $5 to $1 and now at $3. While we do not import much of our gas, export much of our gas to North America again, we are affected by Henry Hub due to locked-in gas contracts for 20 years. These are the words of the Minister of Finance, not us on this side. The way the gas prices are behaving is inexplicable, Deputy Speaker. The Minister of Finance in it piloting, I just want to bring out remember what the Minister of Finance said. We predicted oil at $85 a barrel, meaning we budgeted at $85 a barrel, but it has been just under $80, I guess, for the last 9 months, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, Minister of Finance said, based on lower prices, we expect lower revenues to be about $51 billion for our country. With this supplementation here this evening, we expect, these are not my words, these are not the opposition words, we expect a $9 billion deficit, Deputy Speaker. And I am here this afternoon to listen to the member from Port of Spain North St. Anne's West read out an IMF report and talking about glowing things about the country. I am not disputing what the IMF wrote in their report, but how coincident it is that the Minister of Finance contradicts the IMF report. There's an article in the papers yesterday, Minister Imbert, I just read the first paragraph. Finance Minister Colin Imbert has painted a bleak picture. This is a Daily Express Thursday, the 6th of June, Deputy Speaker, the Finance Minister, Colman Burt, has painted a bleak picture of the state of this country's finances due to lower than projected oil and gas revenues. We didn't say bleak, you know. The Minister of Finance said, use the word bleak. So when the member of, for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, the Honorable Prime Minister, comes and chastises us on this side, we didn't use the word bleak. Is it their Minister of Finance is using the word bleak about the economy, Deputy Speaker, not us? These are his words. And he warned, the Minister of Finance goes on, and he says lower than projected oil and gas revenues, and has warned that the next 3 years will be very challenging for our country. These are the words of the Minister of Finance, not the member for Pointe-a-Pierre or anyone else on this side, Deputy Speaker. So we are lost to understand why they are chastising us for saying that, you know, just repeating what the Minister of Finance has said all evening, Deputy Speaker, and it's there. And I want to ask where this $9 billion deficit that the Minister is projecting for this year. He's projecting a $9 billion deficit, and we agree with that. But I want to ask him about that deficit in 2023. Why all of a sudden that deficit that is in that Auditor General's report is so silent in our country? And that deficit is about $7 to $8 billion, Deputy Speaker. And because you see, Deputy Speaker, a mid-year review is a build-up or continuation of your budget statement. Now, I want to remind the country, especially in the energy sector, that I'm dealing here with this and responding to the Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West. In the budget statement that the Minister of Finance read out here on October 2nd, page 58 in the budget statement. I wish to take this opportunity, and I quote, to commend our Prime Minister, the Honorable Keith Rowley, and Honorable Stuart Young, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, for taking the helm in reversing these oil and gas production trends. So this statement, in October 2nd, by the Minister of Finance, says he wants to congratulate and commend the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister Stuart Young, Minister of Energy, for reversing the oil and gas trends. Deputy Speaker, in the article, the Minister of Finance is talking about how oil and gas production down throughout our country, Deputy Speaker, and that is why it is challenging, Deputy Speaker. So the Minister of Finance, back in October, makes a glowing statement to the Prime Minister about the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy, and then yesterday he condemns them. I mean, if that is not hypocrisy, I don't know what is, Deputy Speaker. I don't know what is. And if you look at this article, it is very challenging. It's challenging to read. It's very bleak. So these are not us and the opposition doing this. They are doing that to themselves, Deputy Speaker. And if they can't run the country, I tell them resign and call election, Deputy Speaker, because it is clear. Now, Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Energy is so transparent in his speeches. Transparent. That is why nothing new. The Minister of Energy says nothing new every time he gets up to speak. It is the same thing between 2010, 20, blame the PP government, blame the member of Superior. Well, these days I get him blamed, the member for Pointe-a-Pierre, blame everybody. Everybody except them. And I want to, he made a comment, he loves to go to NGC. He loves to go to NGC. And I have it here this evening. The Minister of Energy, in his presentation, again attacks the opposition when we were in control in the government with NGC, Deputy Speaker, about how we spend $17 billion out of the NGC. But we spent if we took out $17 billion, Deputy Speaker, it's because we built schools during the period 2010 to 2015. We built roads. We gave people water in our country. We gave them water We gave them, and you know what? We also provided a fuel subsidy. And it was heavy. The Minister of Energy said so. But even though we had a heavy fuel subsidy, we were still able to produce budgets just like this government, $62 to $64 billion budgets, but we had more to show year on year, Deputy Speaker, even with a heavy fuel subsidy. Their fuel subsidy is about $1.2 billion, yet they have nothing to show to this country, Deputy Speaker. Now, I want to talk about NGC because the Minister of Energy spoke about it. Time and time again, he talks about when we were in government, in 2010 to 2015, we negotiated no contracts. You remember, he said that this evening again. Again, right, colleagues? He keeps saying that. I have a FYA here, dated March the 6th, 2024, Deputy Speaker. Here's the FYA request. March the 6th, 2024. I can give you a copy. I have no fear in this. The request was made to the NGC. And the question was, I want to read it slower. The request is the total number of natural gas sales contracts entered into by the National Gas Company, both new contracts and renewals with producers of ammonia, methanol, urea, iron and steel for the period, here the period, May 23rd, 2010, I think that's when my colleague for Opuchis came into government, to September 7th, 2015. So the request, the FIA request is asking NGC, tell us if between that period, 2010 to 2015, if there were any contracts renewed, right? Here the response. We have conducted diligent searches of our records, documentations, and information, and hereby confirm that the total number of gas sales contracts entered into by NGC, both new contracts and renewals with producers of ammonia, methanol, urea, iron and steel for the period May 23, 2010 to September 7, 2016 is 6 contracts. Wow. 6 contracts we did. 6 contracts, but this gentleman, remember, for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, over the last 9 years, we have to sit down time and time and hear him say that under the PP government, we did not renew any contracts at NGC. And they came in and they did all the work. But I want to tell him either NGC is leading him up a wrong path, Deputy Speaker, or he's just a figment of the truths, Deputy Speaker. He doesn't understand it. He likes to tell untruths. Deputy Speaker, it's here in black and white. So we did our work. We renewed 6 contracts in the downstream industry. So I don't know why time and time again he gets up and tells these untruths. Either NGC is not giving him proper information, Deputy Speaker, but I want to tell you about NGC. Under the 2010 to 2015, under the leadership of the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the member of his Separia, NGC never lost. They never lost. You know what? Under them, $2 billion they created a loss in NGC. $2 billion. And I wonder if it's because of the bad negotiations he did at the Minister of Energy with the Mitsubishi plant. I wonder if it's that bad negotiation. That is why NGC has this loss of $2 billion, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Energy talked about the mannequin Cocina. What? All right, Coquina. All right? He's a Spanish, he knows Spanish, but every week he is in Venezuela.
Members, please.
Right?
Again, please, members.
So,
please, when you enter the chamber, then you can, hold on 1 second. Again, member, please, when you have your seat, then you can, make any press cordially. Proceed.
The Minister of Energy, when he was presenting, referred to a reporter. He referred to a reporter, and he called him a disparaging name. All right? And I have an email, Deputy Speaker, because he mentioned about an article that came out in Reuters about that mannequin deal. Now, I have an email here, Deputy Speaker, dated the 22nd of May. This is just the other day, yeah? Wednesday, the 22nd of May, at 9:08 a.m. An email sent to an individual, a high-ranking individual in BP, called Luis Araujo, right? And let me read the email. Hi, here is a let me give you the entire thing. On May 21st, they wrote, the email is written to Luis Araujo. And it says, "Greetings, Louis. I have a few questions for BP. One, can BP say whether it has paused its participation in discussions with the government of Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago re the development of the mannequin," what's the word, Minister? Cohina. Thank you.
How you'll speak to Delcy?
Right? I know you go every week to Venezuela, so Cohina, cross-border field. So in short, I don't want to butcher the word, I'll say mannequin. And the second one, if so, why is there a pause? So the first question, is there a pause in the discussions? Second question, if so, why is there a pause in the discussions? 3, is BP seeking a separate license from the U.S. government to develop the field? 4th question, is BP waiting until the end of the Venezuelan election cycle to resume those discussions? This was written on May 21st, 9:15 a.m. The next day, on May 22nd, the individual got a response from the same Luis Araujo. Here's a response from BPTT. With the expiration of the OFAC General License number 44 in April 2024, that the Minister mentioned earlier, BP has paused all discussions on the mannequin development and will resume those discussions when we can legally do so. So on May the 22nd, BP is saying they have paused discussions. Now, I'm not disputing what the Minister of Energy is saying, that he got an OFAC license. But as my colleague from Naparima would say, where's the investment? What is happening with the entire development? And you know what is funny? What is funny, Deputy Speaker? As something as big as this, not a single word has come out of the BP on this. So you don't even know if BP has not even confirmed what the Minister of Energy is saying. Now, I'm sure by tomorrow morning we'll get releasing the papers from BP. All right? But we are going on information. And that is where the report came out, Deputy Speaker. It came out of that, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, there's so much that the Minister of Energy said here this afternoon. And the Minister talked about Petrotrin. And how I heard the Honorable Prime Minister saying that under the last government, we left a rolling debt to purchase fuel or oil for the refinery, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, as far as we were aware, the $850 million was due to their previous government, PNM government under the Prime Minister Manning, and WGTL under a gentleman called Malcolm Jones. That is why they had to shut down Petrotrin. That is why they had to shut down Petrotrin. So they like to make a song and a cry, a hue and a cry, Deputy Speaker, about the refinery and how we don't produce the oil, the 100,000 plus barrels of oil per day in our fields to run the refinery. Deputy Speaker, for years we have not been producing in our fields 150,000 barrels a day. We import the oil. The Minister of Energy knows that. We import the oil, and it's supplemented by what we produce in Trinidad and Tobago. But it is like a manufacturing component, Deputy Speaker. And I'll read out what is happening here. Deputy Speaker, so you import the raw material and you produce the end product. That is what the refinery is about, Deputy Speaker. So that you import the raw material at a low price, or whatever the oil per barrel, and you will sell it, the end product, which is the finished product, the diesel and the different lubes and the different gas, etc., Deputy Speaker, at a higher price. And we earn money from that. We used to earn a lot of money. No, because I saw my colleague, the member for Naparima, had filed a written question here today. And we got a response. We got a response, Deputy Speaker. And if you look at using Paria, who is importing presently to our country, importing a finished product in the different types of gases, and then they're selling it and exporting it and selling it to the CARICOM members. Deputy Speaker, if you see the sales that is being made from that, so they buy something for $1 and they sell it for $2, they make a profit. So when we had a refinery, we had a higher margin and we were a net earner. I heard the Minister of Energy say we weren't a net earner on the Petrotrin. But you know what is curious, Deputy Speaker? In 2015 first budget, 2016 the Minister of Finance second budget, and even 2017 his third budget, every time in his budget presentation, he paid glowing remarks to Petrotrin. He said Petrotrin, the Minister of Finance, said that Petrotrin is our shining star because it will earn, it's a net earner foreign exchange for the country. Go back and check it, the Minister of Finance. Yes, go back and check it. Go back and check his budget statements. Go back and check it, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Energy likes to talk about we are against dragon gas. We're not against dragon gas, Deputy Speaker. It is a supplement. It is to supplement and to make it happen. It is to supplement what we presently have, Deputy Speaker. But under this, and I will give, under this tenureship, under his tenureship, the Minister of Energy tenureship, he talked about we decimated the oil and gas industry. That government decimated the oil and gas industry. They decimated it. They decimated it, Deputy Speaker. So when we're talking about dragon gas, there was an issue that came up recently with the dragon gas and a U.S. company called ConocoPhillips. And that's a fact. It talked about, in our courts, a U.S. energy giant to go after Venezuela dragon gas deal, Deputy Speaker. So they are now saying that they have a judgment. If we have to send anything, NGC has to pay the Venezuelan government or PDVSA anything, they want first dibs, Deputy Speaker. And I would have assumed here this afternoon that the Minister of Energy would have said, well, you know, what is going on? No,
would you give way? You want me to say?
No, you had your 45 minutes.
You want me to say how the deal is structured?
45 minutes. You had your 45 minutes, Minister.
Members, member for Port of Spain North, Sintas, please. He has not given way. No, he has not given way. He has not given way. No. Hold on. Okay, members, please, let's maintain the decorum of the House. Only the member for Pointe-a-Pierre has been recognized. Go ahead.
Deputy Speaker, how much more time I have?
Well, okay, you end your initial speaking time at 6:03. Remember, at 6:03, and you have an additional 15. Yeah. As I'm on my legs, you willing to avail yourself? So therefore, you will end at 6:18. 6:18 will be full time.
Thank you, Deputy. I'll use all. I'll use all. As you will. I'll use all. I'll use all. I'll use all. So when they talk about decimating the energy sector, let me tell you about under this Minister of Energy stewardship. This government has driven our oil production to its lowest in 60 years. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm not, you know, the Minister of Energy will say I'm making this thing up. It's there, it's there. Under this, their government, they collapsed gas production to a 25-year low, Deputy Speaker. Not us, them. Not them. This government, this PNM government, and the Minister of Energy has driven drilling in our oil and gas down from 58% from 2015 to 2023, Deputy Speaker. This government has destroyed ammonia and LNG production. This government has destabilized our downstream sector based on the Houston trip, Deputy Speaker, and I will say more. I will say more. This total decimation, and then, you know, what is strange, and I didn't hear the Minister of Energy talk about renewable energy, which is something supposed to be happening in our country based on the original budget, Deputy Speaker. And under the renewable energy, you know, they closed down a solar farm project in my colleague's constituency in Augustine. Yes. They closed it down. And I don't know if that's for the Cricket Academy, right? And even the solar farm that is in my constituency of Pointe-de-Pierre, you know, they have issues. They have issues, Deputy Speaker. It has been shut down for a while. So when this minister wants to talk about decimating the energy sector, they did that to our country. They did that. Nobody else. Our barrels for oil is under per day, is under 50,000 barrels per day, Deputy Speaker. These are the metrics. I'm not making up the metrics, Deputy Speaker. That's right. So, Deputy Speaker, I heard the Prime Minister talk about the three Heritage and Paria, their profit making and so forth. Right? I am not disputing that. I am not disputing that. But Heritage is really Trinma. Heritage is really Trinma that was part of Petrotrin. And Trinma, which is the production side, has always been profitable for Petrotrin, has always been profitable. So all they did is that they changed the name from Trinma to Heritage. And you know what's the funny thing, Deputy Speaker? Under Heritage, the oil production, since they came and rechristened it Heritage, has been declining, Deputy Speaker. But under Trinma, under the old company of Petrotrin, it was a success story. It produced more oil for our country, Deputy Speaker. So when they talk about decimating, they have to check themselves, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, you know, the member again went back again about we give away and we over-incentivize and so forth, Deputy Speaker. And I have to refer back to what Norman Christie said. You see, again, facts are stubborn things. And Norman Christie, who was the BP CEO at the time, lack of a better, you know, I don't know what his correct title, but I think he was CEO at the time. It is there on the record, and I keep repeating it, but the Minister of Energy, like, I don't know, he doesn't want to hear it. And it's there on the record that the minister, that Norman Christie said that the incentive did not benefit BP. But because of that, no.
Members, please. Members, please. All right? The member hasn't given way, members, so please. Proceed.
No.
Point of view.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I mean, so that is why when we say that the Minister of Energy is tedious repetition, he keeps repeating the same thing, Deputy Speaker. Tedious. Let me get down into the fuel subsidy that we are here this afternoon about. And the Minister of Energy talked about that fuel subsidy in his presentation here this afternoon. And you know the funny thing that the minister said? He doesn't even know what that fuel subsidy is about, you know. That fuel subsidy that we are asking the supplementation here this afternoon, right, of $570.9 million, is to supplement arrears for 2022-2023. Arrears, not this year's subsidy, but the Minister of Energy, like, I don't know, you don't read his notes. It was there in the notes in the SLC, and my colleague for Cova North, I sent him to ask questions that day. and he asked him exactly what those arrears for, because the minister felt that that subsidy was for 2024 subsidy, Deputy Speaker. But what will happen, and as my colleague for Opuch West keeps saying, that this Minister of Finance, forever, for 9 years we have been saying it, they have been understating the budgets in our country, Deputy Speaker, for the last 9 years. Because you know why they understate it? Because they play into the audience of the credit ratings, Deputy Speaker. They're fooling them. They're fooling IMF. IMF came to visit us. They came to visit us. And when we told IMF the true picture, we were shocked to see the report that came out here yesterday, Deputy Speaker. And if you look at the media review book, Review of the Economy 2023, that was part of our bundle of documents in the budget in 2024 in October. If you read that media review story, it's exactly an IMF report. Exactly. And the IMF report has not even taken into account what's the true deficit for 2023. The member of finance is saying the deficit will be $9 billion for 2024. That's scary, Deputy Speaker. It is scary. So I want to just put things in perspective, Deputy Speaker. The fuel subsidy today is about arrears for 2022, 2023. And I ask the question, by having these constant arrears owed to Paria, are you putting our fuel security in jeopardy, Deputy Speaker? Because there's an article by the chairman of Paria pleading, about a year ago, pleading for funding to be able to buy fuel for our country, Deputy Speaker. So the arrears, the subsidy the supplemental we are here today is about arrears for 2022 and 2023 and not about 2024, Deputy Speaker. So that 2024 shortfall, I guess it will come in next year's budget in 2025, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I heard the Minister of Energy talked about a successful bid round in the shallow water. Talked about that. I want to say to the Minister of Energy that his last shallow bid round failed, Deputy Speaker. They offered 13 blocks to the energy companies. Only 4 was taken up. 4 out of 13. 4 out of 13. The last Minister of Energy, God rest his soul, the late Franklin Kahn, did a shallow water bid round. That was a failure also. So he had 3 out of 12. So I guess the minister, this present minister was a bit successful. He got 1 more. He got 1 more. He went to 4. But you know what's the funny thing? When this Minister of Energy back then talked about these shallow bid rounds, and this Minister of Energy said he went all over the place, and I'm not disputing it. I would not ask him about his per diem or anything like that. I am not like that. But the Minister of Energy talked about when he was selling, lack of a better word, these bid rounds. He went all over internationally to market the 13 blocks, Deputy Speaker, and he was hope, and he was high energy, no pun intended, that he would be successful. So his success is 4 out of 13. His measurement, 4 out of 13, and is a success for this country. The last shallow bid round was 13 out of 12, and that is a success. No wonder, Deputy Speaker. No wonder, Deputy Speaker. Our oil and gas production has been decimated by this government. Because you see, they spend all their time on the other continent, Deputy Speaker. They spend all their time on the other continent.
Silence.
So they spend all their time on the other continent trying to make deals with the Venezuelan government, Deputy Speaker, at the expense of our own territory waters in trying to drill and find and incentivize our energy company to ensure that we at home are taken care of. Now, if you get gas in the Venezuelan continent, Nothing wrong with that, you know. That's supposed to complement. But it cannot be all the eggs in, you're dependent on Venezuela and Maduro to be your lifeline. That is what this government is doing. They're depending on Maduro to be their life support, their life jacket, right? And they're saying in 2027, the Minister of Energy said, hold on, a boom coming. A boom is coming in 2027. 2020, a boom coming. These are not my words, you know. So hold on, it's coming. But between now, we are in June 2024 to 2027 at best, maybe 2028, suck salt. Do nothing. Do nothing, you know, and try to survive until 2027, 2028, because a boom coming. Right? The only boom coming for them is the general election in 2025. Right? So, Deputy Speaker, Minister of Energy said nothing new this afternoon. Nothing new. The only thing he said new was the mannequin field, OFAC license, but he had no explanation there. Nothing, as usual. He talked about a 30-year license and the Article 44. But if the Minister of Energy reads Article 4, the license for the 30-year license, right? There's a part in the license, Deputy Speaker, that talks about if we do not perform, they can take it away. They can take it away. It is there in black and white. It is there. So when they throw out, they have a 30-year license, and it sounds good to the population, but there are implications that the Venezuelan government is not foolish. They're not just going to give you a 30-year license for an item. If you do not perform, for whatever reason, if sanctions are imposed and you cannot perform, they will take it away. And we know what happened in November. We have a USA elections coming in November, Deputy Speaker, and we do not know what is the geopolitical issues coming out of that. Deputy Speaker. That is why all of a sudden they have gone silent. They have gone silent, Deputy Speaker. What time do I end?
6:17.
Yeah, they have gone silent, Deputy Speaker. So, Deputy Speaker, I need him to I guess.
Listen.
5 minutes. If it was me, you put me out long time.
No. Member? No. Listen, members, please. Members, please. St. Augustine, you have a comment to make. You are free to make the comment. But you see, when you're making it to the chair, be careful. Right? Be careful. And that goes for all members. Right? But particularly on the last statement that was made, right? Members are reminded, yes, we will allow a little banter across the floor, no problem. But when it comes to directing it to the chair will probably have to respond. Okay, members? So again, member 4, point up here. You will finish around 6:17 and some change. So proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Energy, Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, mentioned also about Shell and a report. There's an article, Deputy Speaker, says Shell seeking long-term license from the U.S. And basically what it is saying, Deputy Speaker, is the same issue. The geopolitical issue is hot in Venezuela, Deputy Speaker, and for Shell to invest in that whole Dragon gas deal, put out millions of dollars of shareholders' money, they're saying, I want something tangible. The 2-year license is not tangible for them, Deputy Speaker. And nothing is wrong with that. And nothing is wrong. If I am a Shell, is a giant energy company, Deputy Speaker, nothing is wrong with asking them to hold pause and work for a longer term license before they start to invest millions of US dollars or billions in that pipeline and that infrastructure between Venezuela and the Dragon gas deal and NGC, Deputy Speaker. Nothing is wrong with that. It's the same thing like BP is saying we pause. And we as a country can understand that. I as an individual can understand that, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, and you know what is interesting about that Dragon gas? that the member spoke about. You would remember my colleague in the other house brought a motion about the Dragon gas and that whole issue about being transparent and accountable to the people. And you know what happened in a vote in the other place, Deputy Speaker? There was a tie 15-15 on this whole Dragon gas issue about being transparent and accountable. So I want to compliment my Senator Wade Mark for getting the independent senators to support the motion, because all voted to be, they called about accountability and transparency in that whole Dragon gas deal. And now we see in the mannequin being another issue. So I'm sure my colleague in the other house might do another motion, another private motion, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, NIQUAN. Let me just mention another thing about NIQUAN. NIQUAN is the old part of the Petrotrain estate, old WGTL.
Deputy Speaker, 48-1.
Where you in
NIQUAN
What NIQUAN are
has
doing?
not been entered into this debate by this side. It's not in the documents.
Members, please. Members, please.
Nobody on this side brought that up, and it's not in the documents,
Okay.
and it's not in the supplementation.
Right.
48-1.
Thank you. Right. Okay, again, let me hear the point, and I'll determine whether you will go forward or not.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for giving me way. I'll tell you how I tie it in. The Minister of Finance talk about not being able to earn revenues in the energy sector. It's down. It's down. NIQUAN plant for this government was supposed to have been a big tax revenue earner for them, Deputy Speaker.
It's 48-1, point of order, totally irrelevant.
How that?
So again, I'll give you a couple of seconds, just expound it and then think, because you're making the point, but you haven't brought it home. So let's hear it quickly.
Let me as the Minister of Finance is here, let me remind him what he said in his presentation, Deputy Speaker. Let me remind him. The Minister said,
Again, some of the terms, some of the banter, again, be careful of some of the words also across the chamber.
the Minister, sorry, they don't normally get up on me so much, Deputy. I don't know. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Finance in his presentation this afternoon talked about reduced revenues. He's saying that
order, Mr. Deputy Speaker, 48-1. Revenue from NIQUAN is not a revenue item in the estimates of expenditure, and it is not a revenue item in this media review. It is not a revenue item.
Okay, point taken. All right, members, again, member for Pointe-a-Pierre, could you tie it in quickly so that I can rule accordingly? I'm giving you the opportunity to make your point, but I need to be sure exactly where you're going.
When the Prime Minister talk about everything.
Deputy Speaker, all right, NIQUAN, I'll leave it. They know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. When you look at the downstream industry and as a revenue earner, Deputy Speaker, they have decimated the Point Lisas industrial estate. Atlas, the methanol plant, is shut down. And now I am asking a question this afternoon because they have a gentleman who's the chairman of Point Lisas. He went up against me in Pointe-a-Pierre and I beat him. Right? Chairman of Point Lisas, he made a statement that at the ending of June, the old metal, the iron and steel plant will be reopened. He made that statement. It's there in the record. It's there in a statement. So I'm asking, I'm amazed that the Minister of Energy didn't talk about that. And if it is happening, I want to ask
Point of order, 48-1. He has confirmed that the Minister of Energy did not raise that. It is not a revenue item. It is not in the supplemental.
Budget.
All right, listen, members, listen. The member for Pointe-a-Pierre has not gone down the road with regard to the NIQUAN, and he is now on a totally different point. Right? He's on a... Okay, right. So again, member, you have probably you have a minute in order to proceed.
All right. All I'm asking is where the Minister of Energy is getting the gas because he's a shortage of gas to give the sale of the Mittal
Point
plant.
of order. The Mittal
he-
plant is
no,
not-
Deputy Speaker, in my last minute or couple seconds, I wanna thank all my colleagues on this side for a great presentation this evening. Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and as I end, I hope when the Minister of Public Utilities comes to speak, he comes to tell us where we get the water for our constituencies in the central and south area, Deputy Speaker. I thank you.